we have the throttle down against as of right now. We'll move that forward, and we pull the decompression lever back and we hit the button.
One of 4 bolts that holds down the motor. Over here is the other one. On the opposite side, here's one that's very long, and then one up on the top right here. Also, to disconnect the shutoff valve right here, which comes out on this side over here. Take off the cover for the flywheel. The bolts are going around the outside edge here. Take off these bolts right here, here, and here. And that becomes loose. Screw these 2 bolts, which are connected to the speed control here and the, I guess that's the governor there. Remove this piece which holds the hood on, because it will keep the motor from traveling straight up as it comes out, otherwise it's going to get hooked on it. Wires which do various things, I don't know what, but presumably headlights, fuel amounts, and I'm pretty certain that one of these goes to the starter. So I'm going to remove this strap here and make these loose so that they do not get in the way of the motor on the way up. I can gain probably another foot if I take that strap off there. When it engages the starter, and that has to be disconnected right there. Okay, now we'll need to remove the carburetor air cleaner, because otherwise it's going to get stuck on this part right here underneath the gas tank or fuel tank. This is the oil pressure line which goes over top the motor, and it's going to need to be removed, so I'm just going to bend it out of the way like this. I found that I needed to drill another hole in the fan shaft support in order to get the alternator to fit. This part right here wasn't going to work. It might work for a 730, but not a 720. Now, because we have the boat lowered about the same level as the other 2 on the other side, then we have the alternator slightly tilted, and the tension, I would say, about 1 inch in. Here's my lifting rig, and come along. Having up here 2 sets of straps going around the engine. It's already up about 1 inch, and I see that this guy here, which is I think the fuel pump, has to be relocated because there's no space for this line to come out. As you can see, the side opposite the starter transmission is up, and I was hoping that the exhaust pipe and the hot water pipe would come out with that much pressure, but it's not going to. So I'm going to sacrifice them, cut them off, and hopefully whatever resistance here will be relieved. Okay, we're putting the electric motor back on, and this will need to have some gasketing material in there. And this is a fuel pump, I believe, and it will have to be rotated around, but the gasketing on this thing is not good. And then we hook up the gasket line over to the fuel line right there. Right now we're on the left hand side of the tractor, and we got to remove these screws here And then this will go back on there, like that. Oops. Like that. I think this is the decompression lever device, and we have to put I think it's the speed meter right there. The engine's been removed, and this is the first plate we're going to put on. We're going to remove this plate right here, and the bolt hole patterns will be matching this one right here. Okay, the cover's been removed, and we're looking down at the right end piston. There's no damage to the seal, and because there's no pressure underneath of this plate, I'm going to use the old bolts and the old seal on these places right here. And there are 2 bolts provided for these right here that are in this package here. Okay, this is the plate that goes over the right hand piston, and we're going to take off the one on the left hand piston right now. These are pins, alignment pins. They're not nuts. We can see that the gasket is slightly damaged. The rest of it is intact, so I'm just going to add a little bit of Permatex right in this area here. Okay, there's the motor bracket. Of course, the long bolt goes in that socket, and the short one here, and this one here is sort of concave because the motor is coming down really close to that. This is a normal one here. Okay, motor bracket is bolted in. Okay, motor bracket is bolted in. On the back of the starter support, this nut would not go in all the way until I cut a little notch at here. And then to make the cables look more clean, I'm going to take off this floor plate here. Here's the wires coming out on the left hand side with the driver facing forward. It goes underneath of this hydraulic line, goes over here, and I chose to put some of this protective material around the wire because when it comes to the battery box, it's relatively sharp edges. Also, I took out the previous divisions inside of the battery box. And before you replace the plate, you could remove this cap and make it a little easier to put the plate on. And you're going to need to push these wires back to the rear in order to get the plate in. All right, so I put a board cutout with a cutout underneath in the battery box. And that cable there I won't be using anymore. I'll be grounding that at the starter itself, and try to remove sharp edges everywhere. And of course I got that cable wrapping around. So I wanted to simplify the start procedure for the tractor. I don't need to have these running lights at night, so therefore nothing on that main switch, which I'm showing right here, is loose. I don't need any of that stuff. So I intend to put an automobile type starter switch on the front of the panel. But meanwhile, what I've done is connected this line here to the front of the instrument panel, which gives me my my plus side here, and then similarly this wire here, a little long of course, is be going back and touching right here, which is the ground side of it, so that the so that the power comes to this and then energizes the starter. Now, one additional wire is right here, which is the green, which is going to the black line, which will be our negative. So then this would be a negative here, or ground. And then what I did was to hook up this cable. I like to have it green, of course, but it goes over to the back over there. Oops. And touches this portion where it goes right in here. So I've tested these out with continuities and they're all good.